Hey everyone, and welcome back to the YouTube channel. Today I'm doing some finishing touches on a home that I am working on selling. Now, home inspections come up and they nitpick over some of the smallest things. I had repainted this window and gone around with my scraper and nicked the glass just slightly enough that when I scraped the window, it cracked. It was literally like an inch and a half crack. However, it can travel. So with a home inspection, in our area, it's not necessarily pass or fail, but it lets the current owner know if there's something that needs attention, and it lets the buyer know if there are a bunch of pitfalls or money pits coming up for them to take care of. So as it happens, I know how to do this, and I've done this before. You saw a video several months ago of me going through the neighbors that smashed out a bunch of windows, and because of filming opportunities and heat and whatever, it's a lot harder to do that. Now with these cold temperatures that we're having, I'm in Michigan, it is like 36 degrees was the high today, I think 39, and it's going to be getting colder, but these silicone caulks can be used at a much colder temperature. And then there's glazing compound also, and I don't know what the working temperature was on the glazing, but that's what a lot of the old windows are, is glazing. So I went around the top edge up here and I knocked off some of the glazing just because he had that in his report also. And because I can caulk, I'm going to go ahead and hit those spots just to have it done. If for any reason like a home sale doesn't go through, the next inspector is going to find it anyway. So you might as well do what you can while you can. Okay, so one of the first things you want to do is try to go around with a utility knife, and this is a like box cutter type knife, and they're real friendly to use. I don't recommend using anything like a kitchen knife. Occasionally you could try to get through these through a pocket knife, and you just go around the edge and you try to cut loose anything that you can. Now, if you can't get in there because it's so dry, you're just going to want to try to pick it off. Now, a multi-tool paint scraper works really good for this, and as you can see, I have already kind of gone around, but I wanted to make sure I get a good fit. Now, a nice thing to have in this case is a pair of needle nose pliers. Let me show you why. So this right here is called a glazing point, and it's like a little triangle that digs into the wood around the window, and it holds the glass in place while you're doing the work. And the glazing, more or less, is window weatherproofing your window. So what I've gone through here is gone around the edges, found my glazing points, and unfortunately I have removed my needle nose pliers. You can grab that with the tip of a needle nose plier. You can buy these in a box. The trouble is they come in like 20 to 100 in a box. I've done a lot of windows over my time. I've just got them at a different house right now. So our local hardware store does cut glass. They'll cut it to anything you want, and it's super cheap. This piece of glass is about 9 by 12. And they generally do a fairly good job. There's a little bit of a rough edge right there, and you can take any kind of sandpaper or a file and straighten that out. Fortunately, it was on my side and it's fitting in. This is roughly about $4. If you call a glass company out, you don't know what you're going to pay, and you're paying for a service call. So just like that, that is there, but see, it's just setting. So we also have to get the glazing points in there, and a neat trick that you can do too is you can use a staple gun, but you have to be careful not to break the glass. So sometimes you can push a staple in with a screwdriver, again being careful of your glass. So I'm going to get this in and I'm going to caulk it. So if you're not real experienced with caulk, a good thing to do is tape it and pull the tape off while the caulk's still wet. I like to do a nice thin layer with the caulk and go back with my finger. And that seems to really help a lot with a nice filled in area. And then you don't have water sitting on the edge because you don't want that either. Just do a nice steady pull. It does not work to push. And a pro tip is to cut the end of your caulking tube on an angle, as I've done here. So then just real gentle, take your finger and smooth it out. Now, some people recommend using a wet cloth, and that works okay, but sometimes then you're ending up wiping off or taking away some of your caulk. If you have a thin spot, just wipe your finger back over there again. We have a motto in our household, and it is good enough for who it's for. Well, sometimes what's good enough for us is not good enough for other people or the Karens of the world. And it's almost like people who get into home inspection get into it for a reason. So, fortunately, the people buying the house are super easy, and he didn't care one iota about this cracked window. But I should have taken care of it. It was unfortunate that it happened, and it was no big deal. The spot's a little thinner than I'd like. Now, I mentioned the cold temperature. I think it's good to have it at a high temperature for as long as you can. And I would have liked to gotten to this a little earlier in the day, but it's going to have several hours of daylight still before the cool night air comes in to cure. So just to show you up close, you can go around and you can clean up these little smudges like this. Some people will do it with solvents. This is a water base, so I can do it with water, but you can see I just got a little on there, no big deal. And nothing's a big deal. If you make it a big deal, you're just going to cause yourself trouble. So that is a real easy window replacement. Single pane glass, nothing major. You just want to make sure you have a good measurement with your old caulk or glazing out, because you got to make sure you've got enough room in there for the glass to set and room for expansion of the wood. So another small issue on the home inspector's report was this small crack. Now you can see that right there. This is single pane glass, but there's a storm window on the outside. So for safety, because small children, I'm going to go ahead and swap this out. A panel that I did on the garage was only $4, so I figured this is going to cost probably $10 or less. So using the same techniques I've done in window repairs before, I'm going to go ahead and swap this out. They are going to nitpick about every little thing that they can, and this probably happened just from scraping paint a long time ago. So to be able to access this, you're going to be on the outside of the house. So just keep that in mind, because there is snow there. There may be ice. You got to be careful, and you got to make sure that your storm window is open to be able to get to that panel. Just a tip, in these old windows, I don't think that glass had probably ever been taken out from original. The glazing turns into like concrete, and I basically had to bust it out piece by piece to get it. I got it all cleaned out with the help. If you have a chisel, I have this pry bar that has a bit of a beveled edge and a hammer, and I just tapped it out little by little. It was a slow process. Now my local hardware store cut this piece for me, so I'm going to get it in. And I didn't get to show you last time, but this is one type of point. If I can get it to focus. This is one type of point, and you pull these out with a needle nose plier, and that might make it a little difficult for you as far as getting your glass out because you can't really get a hold of these very often. I prefer a different type of point that has a flat edge for using your putty knife or a screwdriver to push it into the window, because these points, yes, they're pointed, but they're a little hard to get in. You pretty much only have the use of your needle nose plier, and if the wood is soft enough to get that in. So make sure this edge is plenty cleaned out. You can choose to sweep out, brush out, vacuum out, however you want to do this, because your windowsill is going to need cleaned also. All right, future homeowners and inspectors, the window is replaced. All good. Nice warm day tomorrow, so that caulk will have plenty of time to dry real good. This is a negative 31 degree silicone caulk, so it's going to sit there and do its job. So there's a real easy homeowner do-it-yourself repair, everybody. I hope this helps you. If you like this kind of video, give us a thumbs up and subscribe, and you'll see the next video that comes out. Thanks for watching.